Hello, Internet! You know, the screen is a pretty useful tool. You can display tons of different things. Movies, news articles, me. Imagine if you had another one. No way! The Nintendo DS, a little plastic clam that became nearly as popular as oxygen itself. I'm serious, check in your couch cushions, you'll probably find at least one of these. It's always been one of the most interesting success stories in gaming to me, how it innovated massively for handheld systems while also appealing to way more people than any prior ones. Well, enough stalling. Let's open this thing up and see what's inside. The DS started production around the early 2000s, and when it was revealed, Nintendo claimed it was less of a successor to the popular Game Boy line and more of a new branch of their handheld consoles. Guess what happened? See, Nintendo also did this with the Switch, where they still support the previous console if they're not sure about the new one. It's a good practice, just funny that it happened exclusively with their best-selling units. Similarly, they were trying to push innovation with a new second screen that you could touch for more in-depth controls, along with graphics that couldn't be done on previous handhelds. And the launch titles they chose for it? Oh boy, who's hungry for leftovers? To be fair, seeing a 3D platformer and a first-person shooter running on a handheld was basically a joke at the time. You could argue it still was, but regardless, these were important steps in the right direction. Even the simpler mini-games made really good use of the touchscreen features. Everything from a simple tap on the screen to sliding your finger or stylus across it can lead to plenty of different gameplay. Puzzle games were a pretty big draw of the system at the time. You had your standard falling block fare like Meteos and Tetris DS, as well as games such as Pac-Pix that made even more use of the touchscreen. And I think games like these helped contribute to one of the major factors of the Nintendo DS's success: the casual market. You see, while it might seem hard to believe, there are some people out there who aren't quite as used to this whole gaming thing as others. For them, jumping into a more involved game can feel a bit like an out-of-body experience. Fortunately, casual games are here to save the day with much more accessible gameplay and concepts, like classic tabletop games, culinary preparation, and being a responsible guardian. Nintendogs is one of the big ones. The 3D models of the various dogs are rendered and animated extremely well, and interacting with them with the touchscreen and microphone makes things easy to understand and adorable. The DS as a whole was an extremely approachable console, not only for people who hadn't played a game before, but people who played them a lot back in the day, but hadn't in a long while. It had its fair share of collections and remakes, but there were also new games created in the style of the classics. 14 years after the last new 2D Mario, the first new Super Mario Bros. Led to a major renaissance for 2D games. Contra 4 was a long-awaited return to form after the series had deviated significantly over the years, and Dark Void Zero ended up being better regarded than the game it was essentially made to advertise. No matter who you are, you can probably find something you enjoy on this thing, even if you're a massive weirdo. You see this sort of thing whenever a console gets popular, a bunch of random games that might be good, might be terrible. There's just so many of these that it's impossible to really tell, and that's not even to mention the accessories. There's a memory pack, guitar grip, card reader, piano, glucose meter, motion controller, paddle controller, multiple pedometers, keyboard, TV tuner, calligraphy pen, headset, just put a footrest here at this point. In fact, I wonder if... Oh my god.